One early summer day, the scarlet rose bush in front of the house had sprouted hundreds of bold fresh buds that looked like small red-crowned birds. A group of withered-looking women came to the village and gathered in front of Nur Khan's shop in a semicircle. Half of them were crying, and the ones who weren't were consoling the others. They wouldn't say anything, who they were, why they were crying, what they wanted. The words, "We have children," made themselves heard more than a couple of times through the din of their wet sobbing. As soon as I heard this, I rushed home to fetch Baba. On our way back, I made Baba sprint downhill with me. Panting, I went inside the shop and let Baba deal with the situation, with this group of women who were still wailing in front of Nur Khan's bewildered face. With an urgent wave of the hand, Baba signaled something to Nur, who immediately brought out a jug of water from behind the shop, that old, much-dented, unsteady tin jug of his with a million black scratches on it. Baba poured a couple of glasses of water and offered it to the women in the front. He drank himself, too. I looked at the women. They didn't seem the kind to be wandering about like this without any male company. Most of them were pale, drained. They all wore parans made of some light fabric, no burqas. Just colorful scarves tied across their heads. From their faces, they all seemed unusually frail, almost anemic. Yes, it was the faces, wan, dried of all color, as if someone had squeezed out all the blood from them. Baba waited for them to finish drinking and then asked if they wanted to sit. The women didn't speak, but nodded to suggest they were fine the way they were. I looked at one of the leaders and saw her eyes. They were hollow, sunken, and dry, scared eyes. Nur Khan brought out more water in the jug, this time with some ancient orange squash from the shop, and in his fumbling manner also unwrapped a packet of Tiger glucose biscuits from one of his dusty shelves and offered them to the women. The woman with the sunken eyes picked a couple and started eating. Her wrist, visible briefly from beneath her sleeve, was blue with bulging sinuous veins. There were 10 or 12 of them, all the same color, a jaundiced pale. They must have been between the ages of 20 and 35. They were certainly not from the neighborhood. Their clothes had the distinct stamp of a relatively prosperous life. Baba put his hands on one of the younger girl's shoulders and said, "I am the Sarpanch, headman of this village. Do not worry. Whatever it is that is troubling you, you can tell me. I promise I will do everything to help. Tell me, what happened? You're like a daughter, really. Tell me, where have you come from? What's the matter? Why are you like this?" I thought Baba was being tactless, too direct. But then I saw he had grasped the situation quickly and realized it needed immediate action. "Assalamu alaikum," the first woman whispered. She was small, dressed in a green printed paran embroidered with large purple flowers. Her eyes were large. She was pretty. "Assalamu alaikum," everyone repeated after her. Their lips parted like dry parchment and then closed in despair. "Walaikum," said Baba. "Walaikum," repeated Nur Khan. I just nodded, undecided whether to smile or not. "We have come far, far away. We have been in curfew for more than 3 months now. The army is everywhere, and all around. There is nothing to eat," the first woman continued. The second woman stopped sobbing. "No, no, we don't need anything for ourselves. We can manage. It is our..." and then broke down again. She was perhaps the youngest of the lot, girlish, with a long neck, neatly crafted features, frayed hair, small, ruined red cheeks, in an otherwise pallid face. The mournful chorus now said in unison, "Do not turn us away, empty-handed brother. Do not turn us away. We have traveled far." In spite of his best efforts, Baba looked on in bewilderment. The third woman, "It is for our children that we have come this far." She had beaded tears in her eyes. A few strands of her hair flew about and shone in the sunlight. She was the loudest of the group. "We just want milk." We just want milk, brother. Please give us some milk. The fourth woman, yellow, jaundiced eyes, dry, powdery white face, headscarf hanging loose at the back of her head. She must have looked beautiful at some point, perhaps not too long ago. But where have you come from? Noor managed a half-sure question, thousands of frown lines wrinkling his forehead. The first woman rubbed the shoulders of her sobbing companion and entreated Baba, I will tell you. We have babies. They're without milk. That's all we want. There is nothing left inside us to feed our children. That is why we have come here. The sobbing woman spoke through her tears. Threads of saliva stretched like bridges between her upper and lower lip. It has taken us all day to get here. We have walked through homes and orchards, climbed fences and concrete walls, and crossed rivers and streams to get here. Please give us some milk. We beg you. We beg you, said the first woman. I remember the day like an affecting Balraj Sahni black and white film. The women stood wailing and sighing and talking to Baba one by one and all together, sometimes indistinguishable from each other. They spoke like ghosts, in strange voices, cracked and bearing terrible grief. I remember looking at them, their faces and their eyes and their voices, and being reminded of women who, standing in groups like theirs now, sing wedding songs, songs of harvest, or songs welcoming the Eid. They stood, hands on each other's shoulders, and formed a semicircle in front of Noor Khan's shop. It was exactly like what women do at weddings, when they get up to join each other, shoulder to shoulder, and then sway gently backwards and forwards, singing songs of joy and celebration. One half of the standing column picking up the ballad from the other half's lines. Wanwun and Ruf, two singing styles. This was exactly like that. Only these women had tears rolling down their cheeks, streaming down their withered necks and all the way to the collars and front pieces of their long parents, which now had darkened with moisture. I stayed rooted to where I sat, trying hard not to break into tears. Noor Khan still had the jug of water in his hand. Baba scratched at his beard, and the women continued to lean forward each time they had to speak. We want some milk, the fourth woman said. Our babies will die. Zubayda's daughter died last night. Did you hear? Did you hear that? The third woman again, the one with the hennaed hair. Our breasts are barren now. Nothing left for our children, nothing. We have eaten all the grass in our gardens and finished all the pulses we had and cooked every grain of rice there ever was. Now we have eaten our ghairat too, our honor. There is nothing left in my bosom, the oldest looking woman, who had mostly kept silent till now, let out a wheezing, cracking moan and lifted her parent up to reveal two shriveled, wrinkled, darkened breasts over a sunken, hollow-looking stomach. Dark bite marks that looked like scabs surrounded the nipples. Baba looked away. Noor Khan and I stood still. There was a fat, gleaming candle drop on her left breast. Pus. My baby will die, my baby will die. The woman at the back shrieked and broke down. If you give me milk, I'll give you one of my girls. All we need is milk. Milk is everything, the first woman hummed, the small, pretty one. The mournful chorus now swayed in unison again. Do not turn us away empty-headed. Do not turn us away. We have traveled far. It will end someday. It will. One day there'll be no curfew, and then there will be milk. One day, the curfew king will die, and there'll be milk. Thank you.